Well, what's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. We finally have some leaks, some sourced info, it seems like, about where the 2024 to 2025 CDL season is going to happen, where some of the events are going to be. Let's walk through the news that broke just now as I'm recording this video on Saturday afternoon. There's some good news, there's some bad news, there's some stuff missing. Let me try to make sense of it for y'all, so let's dive in. All right, so let me read through all of their tweets, and then I'm going to kind of break it down for you. The rotations, where this info is coming from. And I know in the past on this YouTube account, depending on the information, I'm a little bit skeptical sometimes of what the rotation tweets, because I feel like sometimes they do kind of jump the gun on sort of iffy info, rumors, challenger speculation, and kind of witch hunt a little bit. This scheduled of stuff, though, I just want to preface off the beginning, I've heard similar rumors, so I think that this is pretty close to what's going on, at least at the moment. So let's dive in. Their first tweet: sources, the CDL season will kick off with a major one in Barcelona. Yes, you've read that correctly. This is not some weird Barcelona somewhere in the US. Barcelona, Spain seems to be where the first major of the year will be kicking off, which I think is a W. We'll get to in a second. It's sort of time of the year, but kind of like oftentimes when the CDL or the CW had done these events that were like East Coast or the South in like November, December, January, February, they're like kind of iffy off season, or those locale areas too cold. I think Barcelona around this time of year will probably be a little bit better. And then my own thoughts on Barca, just, you know, having not been in Spain before, it's, their hours are a little bit later than sort of the US. So for me, selfishly, when we go or we do a watch party there, if we go, being able to get dinner will be really, really key. But to jump in here, then their kind of next bit of info is that major one is scheduled for either the end of January or early February. So unfortunately, this means no fall winter event this year. I had heard rumblings about one. It seems like either Activision or a team that was going to host it. It couldn't happen. It's kind of disappointing, man. We've talked about this year and year with the CDL and Activision, man. Your game comes out in October, November. You got to run the event in December. We got one in Raleigh. It was lit 2 years ago. We didn't get one last year. We're not getting one this year. I just still don't understand how the CDL cannot budget. Activision cannot figure out how to correctly spend their budget so that they have enough money in quarter four to run an event. It is extremely disappointing. And I guess we're going to have the same thing we had last year, which is league matches start probably beginning of December. They lead into a Christmas holiday break. We got a few of them we get back in January, and then we had the Barcelona for major one. All right, and then the next two tweets are kind of interesting here. Sources: Miami, Dallas, and Toronto will all also host events this year, as well as this last bit. Sources: there is a fifth event this year, possibly in Chicago. So kind of here are my thoughts. I don't think that this means that there's going to be 5 majors. My guess is between Miami, Dallas, Toronto, and Chicago, one of those cities is hosting champs. I'm going to assume process of elimination, it's not going to be Miami. I'd be surprised if it was Dallas in back-to-back years. So that pretty much leaves either Toronto or Chicago hosting champs. Toronto to me would probably be the most likely because, you know, I know that the Toronto ownership had a lot of thoughts after the Dallas event. I'm sure they, having run events every year, they want to try and bring that kind of factor that Dallas had, that home achieved, to try and win their team their first ever CDL championship. I would just be surprised if it's Chicago, but I maybe not. I would be that surprised. To try and guess venues, when it says Miami, I'm going to assume Fort Lauderdale until told otherwise, because from what I know about space in the Miami area, especially like the Miami Convention Center, it's very expensive as opposed to Fort Lauderdale. So I'll be surprised if it's actually Miami and not Fort Lauderdale. Dallas could be anywhere. I don't know if this is going back to the same venue as champs, or if this is also an ESA event, who knows. And in Toronto, I would assume Mattamy Athletic Center. Again, if they're hosting champs, I would assume they would do something a little bit different than what they've done in the past, and more of like an in-around setup. Chicago's a weird one. Prior to COVID, the event in Chicago was supposed to be at Wintrust Arena. This is Wintrust Arena right here. It's a pretty nice building. It's actually a pretty good size for Call of Duty events. There are, if I remember, some interesting things with this venue that, you know, if whoever's running it, maybe they're doing like an in-around setup, or they're trying to do a stage, they get a little bit particular about that screen in the middle. I'm just trying to make a guess here, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're running back at Wintrust. Obviously, there are a bunch of other venues in Chicago they could theoretically do an event. I mean, as cool as it would be, I really doubt they're going to do it at United Center. I think United Center is probably just like prohibitively expensive, and also going to be difficult to get time reserved around the NBA NHL season, although I don't think either Chicago teams in this arena are technically probably playoff teams for the conferences. It's just going to be hard. Those dates are kind of tough to get again. I don't really know what time of year the Chicago event's going to be. Now, it's also possible the event is here, which is at McCormick Place, one of the biggest convention centers in the entire United States. I would be not surprised if we're here. It is a very, very busy convention center. So, you know, getting space is very difficult, but maybe this has been done a couple of years in advance. I don't know. It's actually really close to Wintrust Arena and a nice part of town. Would be actually a pretty cool venue, and you would expect more of a convention expo style setup. But it would be a cool spot to do it. I mean, we've never gone back. I think the reason we've never had an event here is just labor costs, union costs. Chicago's like a union heavy building. We've talked about on this channel, when you go to cities that are union heavy, it becomes a little bit like prohibitively expensive to run events. So that's kind of my guess on where there would an event be in Chicago. Obviously, they could go out to the burbs and do it there. And I think that'd be kind of disappointing if we had a Chicago event. It was in like Schaumburg or something kind of dumb like that. But I'm just kind of trying to guess. I guess we'll have to wait to see more details, especially if the Chicago event happens. But I think to summarize my thoughts overall, and I'm going to kind of go one by one. That we're not getting a Q4 event. I'm going to keep harping that drum until it actually happens, because once again, it seems like we're not getting one. But a W that the first major is not in the US, not in the city we've been to, is actually in Europe, which is kind of sick. So Barcelona, W, major 1. As for these cities, I think these are all W cities. Like, you know, as long as Dallas is like not Arlington, I would say it's a W. Toronto, you guys know my thoughts on Toronto. I love the city. And if we go back to the same venue, Manamita, we've been going back to over and over and over. It's like in a perfect part of town. It's a great city. W. Fort Lauderdale. Listen, I had a good time in Fort Lauderdale when we had the event. I know the event wasn't as nice, and there were a lot of reasons why that happened. I don't think it would happen this time around. I think the event would be a lot better. But if we end up in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, wherever, I actually think that's kind of a W in my mind. Obviously, we'd love to go back to Boston in the spring, but knowing the work situation there, that doesn't seem likely. And then if we get any kind of Chicago event, assuming it's Metro Chicago, not like in the burbs, it's the same issue that Dallas has. Like, we go in the burbs, it's an L. But if we're in downtown Chicago, W, great city. I love visiting there. Selfishly, like an hour and a half from where I live by plane, so super easy to get to. And you know, if there's a Chicago event, you know OpTic's going big for that one. Even if they're not hosting it, you know they're gonna throw parties and really reminisce about the early years of OpTic. So that one could be a W. So yeah, that's my breakdown. A couple of caveats. One is rotation's pretty reputable, but when it comes to event stuff, especially before the league officially announces stuff, I would just say that this is maybe their current thinking or tentative thinking, or what's been kind of checked with people. I assume this is leaking from the team side. The CDL doesn't really, as an org, Activision really leak this event stuff. If it's coming out, it's because teams found out about it and then players found out about it, and that's why the rotation has it. But things could always change before things are confirmed. And even after things are confirmed, we saw with like Carolina last year, like events can fall through and pivot. So obviously a caveat on that. So we'll have to wait for official announcement for the CDL on that front. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think, W or L. I'm sure you're going to have mixed feelings depending on some of this information. Some is a W, some is a L, but let me know what you guys think. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. As always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.